Okay, welcome in. I'm now going to be reviewing week number 12's action of the National Football League. I can't believe we're already 12 weeks into the season, 3 months more or less. It's a little depressing because I know it's just 6 weeks away and the regular season will be over. So I'm going to savor every moment that I possibly can. Okay, so we're going to start on Thursday as we have an AFC North battle between the 2-8 Cleveland Browns and the 8-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. Every part of my body and every part of my gut is telling me the Steelers are going to pull this one off, and they can easily get a victory. And I'm going to be shocked if they don't get a victory, but I'm going to be a little bold and say, no, I'm sticking with the Steelers. There's no way I'm taking the Browns. Are you kidding me? Jameis Winston can only do so much, and obviously Deshaun's gone for the rest of the year, and I have no idea who their third, fourth, or fifth string quarterback is. But there's nothing that they can do to salvage this season. There's no way they can get above 500. They'd have to win out their remaining 7 games, and there's no way Cleveland is even going to get 5 wins. I mean, they might be lucky if they get 5 wins, but yeah, just a disaster of a season. And the Steel City, they should improve to 9-2 and move on to still be number one in the division. Okay, Sunday we have quite a fair amount of games, starting in Carolina as the 3-7 Panthers are playing host to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Panthers have won 2 in a row. You can't really knock them for that, but they're going to get up against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs suffered their first loss of the season away from home against the Bills. So they're looking for a little bit of a redemption. There's no way the Chiefs want to go on a 2-game losing skid because right now they're still technically in first place in the AFC, but a loss here, and if the Bills happen to win their respective game, then they could be looking at the number 2 seed in the AFC. And I'm sure the Chiefs don't want to have to go away from home in the playoffs like they did last year. Now, they had success, obviously, because they went on to play in the Super Bowl and win. So playing away from Arrowhead is really not a disadvantage for the Chiefs, but I'm sure in the back of their mind, they would love to be able to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I'm going to just turn the tablet over a bit so it's somewhat centered. All right, off to the NFC North. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. Off to the NFC North as we have the Chicago Bears are 4-6 taking on the 8-2 Minnesota Vikings. Now the Vikings should easily pull this one off, but there's something about this Chicago team, and especially when it comes to division matchups, you really can't take them for granted. And even though technically Chicago is fourth and the Vikings are in second place, like I said, the Vikings should win, and I guarantee they probably will win. But my heart and my gut are saying pick the underdogs and go with the Bears. All right, now we're off to the AFC South as we have the 7-4 Houston Texans taking on the 2-8 Tennessee Titans. Houston's got this one down. Tennessee's just, I don't know what to make of them. Will Levi is not the guy I think that the Titans are hoping for. I saw the little clip last night about how the coach was confronting and yelling at Levi for something that he did as a mistake this past Sunday. And yes, you could say it's learning curves, and it is because when you're a young quarterback and you got to learn the system and all this other jazz. I'm not going to try to balance that out by saying but this or however that. That's just the way it is. That's the nature of the beast. And I mean, some rookies they excel, some rookies crumble, and it's looking like Levi. I'm not saying he's a rookie. I think it's his second year, maybe his third. I'm not too sure. Still a young QB, but yeah, the Titans aren't that good, and I believe the Houston Texans should get a win, and they still should stay in first place in the AFC South. Speaking of the AFC South, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They are 5-6, taking on the Detroit Lions, who are 9-1. They have the best record in the NFC. I don't see a scenario where Indy even pulls this one out of the hat or gets a miraculous win. There's no way. Detroit's the best team, offense, defensive side, if you want to argue special teams, whatever the case may be is. But yeah, the Detroit's the best team in the NFC. You could argue they're the best team in the entire National Football League, but then you're going to have some Chiefs fans that are saying, well, what about us? Or then you're going to have some Bills and Steelers fans saying, well, don't forget about us. So I'll just stick with the NFC side of things, that they do have the number one position as we speak, heading into week number 12, and I believe Jared Goff will get a win in Indy to improve the Detroit Lions record to 10-1. Alrighty, the AFC East has a showdown between the Miami Dolphins, who are 4-6, and the New England Patriots, who are 3-8. Now the Dolphins are slowly starting to get a little bit of their mojo going, but I still think it's going to be a big hill to climb because I'm pretty sure the three teams that are in the wild card position as we speak are the Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos respectively, and the Broncos are 6-5. So technically, they're a game and a half or whatever it is up on the Dolphins. Can the Dolphins catch up? They sure can. There's no ruling them out, but I mean it's possible. But if I had to put my money on the Dolphins making the playoffs, I probably wouldn't, just because there's a lot of other teams, like I said, that are ahead of them in the standings, and the Dolphins would have to rely on, as I said, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Ravens to all go on losing streaks in order for Miami to catch up to them or possibly pass them. And they could possibly catch up to Denver, but I don't think they're going to catch up to like the Chargers, who have 7 wins, if I'm not mistaken, and the Ravens, who also have 7 wins as well. So they should get the victory over the Patriots, pull within to a game of 500, but I still think it's going to be a lot to ask this team to moving forward, at least, to get into a playoff spot. Now, I can easily bite my tongue. By week 18, they could easily pull into a wild card spot because there is no guarantees at this point. But I think when you're 2 games below 500 and you only have 6 or 7 games remaining on your schedule, it's tough. But yeah, I will go with the Dolphins in this matchup. I believe they should get to 5-6. But the Patriots also have 3 wins, so maybe Gerard Mayo has something up his sleeve. Who knows? The New York Giants are playing host to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The big news is that the Giants are going to be benching Daniel Jones and starting Danny DeVito. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Danny DeVito, but it might as well be. This stud had quite a rookie year last year. I think he pulled off a few wins, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be interesting to see how he can run this offense. Can he do a better job than Daniel Jones? I mean, anybody at this point could do a better job than Daniel Jones. I'm not trying to disrespect the guy, but I mean, he has not had a good career. Only one winning season, only one playoff win, and they're paying him over $200 million. So I guarantee if they cut him by the end of the season, they're gonna have some dead cap money, to say the least. The Buccaneers are 4-6. They're in second place in the NFC South. They're 2 games behind, or a game and a half, I believe, behind the Falcons for first place. So this is a huge game for Tampa, more or less, than the Giants. I think the Giants' season's already over. Whereas if the Buccaneers happen to get to 5-6, they could possibly make things interesting. And I truly believe Tampa Bay will get the win in New York. Okay, staying in the NFC East, we have the Washington Commanders, who are 7-4, taking on the 3-7 Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you had told me at the start of the season, well over halfway through this year, Washington would be in first place and Dallas would have a 3-7 record, I'd say you're absolutely nuts. But obviously, inconsistency and obviously the big injury to Dak Prescott definitely hurt the Cowboys this year. And I don't see a scenario where they even put up a fight. I mean, Philly destroyed them last week in Jerry World, and you really think this team's going to show up in Washington and put up a fight? There's no way in HE double hockey sticks that's going to happen. So I think Washington has this game all day. They should improve to 8-4, and if Dallas gets to 3-8, I mean, I guarantee their season's already done as it is. They're 4 games below 500 this late in the season. I don't see a scenario where they win 7 in a row and get into a playoff spot. It's physically impossible. Okay, off to the AFC West as we have the 2-8 Las Vegas Raiders taking on the 6-5 Broncos. Well, the Broncos are my team, and it's been a long time since this team has had success. It's like a decade of darkness if you're a Broncos fan. The last time, obviously, they had any success and had a winning record was in the 2015-16 season when Peyton Manning was their quarterback, and they obviously went on to win Super Bowl 50, like I said, 9 years ago or whatever the case may be. Now, I shouldn't say that. Technically, the season after, they finished with a 9-7 record with Trevor Siemian at their helm, but they didn't make it into the playoffs. So technically, I guess you could say it's been 8 or 9 seasons that's been below 500. But there's optimism. I got a lot of faith in Bo Nix, and Sean Payton is the coach. So, I mean, if these guys can gel together, this team can have a lot of success moving forward. And boy, oh boy, do we need success, because I'm just so sick of the Chiefs winning all the damn time. Okay, the Green Bay Packers are playing host to the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are sitting at 5-5 after losing last week, and the Packers at 1. They're sitting at 7-3. The crazy thing is with the AFC West, the 49ers are 5-5, the Seahawks are 5-5, the Rams are 5-5, and I'm pretty sure that the Arizona Cardinals are like 6-4 or 6-5, something like that. So the fourth team is only a game behind first place. So if San Fran happens to win this game, and depending how the outcome with the other three go, they could possibly move up to second place. The reason they can't go into first place is because Arizona did beat San Fran earlier in the season. So technically, Arizona has the home, or they have the break, if that makes any sense. But yeah, if San Fran wins this, like I said, they could easily jump up to third or second, depending on how the Rams and Seahawks do respectively. The Packers, obviously, they're in contention right now, and they want to stay in contention. They don't want to drop to 7-4. Not that would be a bad thing, but obviously this is a home game. It's going to be cold at Lambeau. I'm going to give the edge to the Packers in this one. Not saying the San Fran can't win, but man, I thought they could have won last week, and they didn't. So this team is a little wishy-washy, to say the least, and obviously injuries aren't helping this team at all. But yeah, I got the Packers all day at home against the 49ers. The AFC West, it's funny, I just talked about the Cardinals and Seahawks. Those two teams are actually duking it out. The Seahawks are 5-5, as I previously mentioned. The Arizona Cardinals are 6-4. I'm going to give the edge to the Seahawks in this one. I think there's something about the Seahawks team. I mean, they had a gritty win last week against the 49ers. If the Seahawks can win in San Fran, they can easily win at home. Now, with that being said, I know the Bills went into Seattle and absolutely destroyed them, but the Cardinals are not the Bills. So, and to be honest, I want to see like a dogfight going to the end. Like if Arizona wins this, they'll get to 7-4. They'll have a 2-game lead on both the Seahawks and 49ers potentially, and Rams respectively. But I want to see this be a dogfight. I want to come down to like the last week 18, maybe a Sunday night game where one of these four teams plays to get that NFC West showdown. I don't want it to be a runaway just yet. But yeah, I'll get the Seahawks at home. They should improve to 6-5. They would technically tie with the Cardinals. They were able to win. The Sunday night matchup has the Los Angeles Rams, who I mentioned a couple of times, are 5-5, taking on the first place in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a little bit of a correction there. Washington is sitting in second place. Philadelphia is in first. So that's on me, and that's my bad. Man, this Rams team, it's like 1 week they're hot, 1 week they're not, and last week they ended up losing. So they ended up winning to get back to 500. They just, if you're a Rams fan, and again, I know this division is up for grabs, so a loss technically wouldn't be the end of the world, but you don't want to be going on a win-lose when you're getting to the end of the season. Like the Rams need to get their ish together, if you know what I'm talking about, and start getting and piling up back-to-back wins. Like I said, they can't go 5-6 and then go back to 6-6 and then 6-7 and then 7-7 and then 7-8 and then 8-8. You don't want to have that record when you get to the last game of the season, because A, you don't know how other teams are going to be in front of you, and B, if say the Cardinals or 49ers or the Seahawks happen to have 9 wins by week 17 or week 18, then the Rams can pretty much count their season out the window, because you're relying on those teams to lose. So this is a critical game more for the Rams than it is for the Eagles. Obviously, if the Eagles lose, they'll still be in first place. Not the end of the world, but this Rams team, like I said, they need a victory. Man, I want to pick them so bad. I really do. But because, like I said, they've been so wishy-washy all season, I'm going to go with the Eagles. And as long as they can play as well as they did last week and in weeks prior to that, they should be able to improve to 9-2 and, again, stay in first place of the NFC East. The Monday night matchup has the 2 of the 3 wildcard teams in the AFC, as the 7-4 Baltimore Ravens are taking on the 7-3 Los Angeles Chargers. Technically, the Chargers are in the 5th spot because they've had 1 game played. So the Chargers would technically be 5th, the Ravens would technically be 6th, and then the Broncos would be 7th. This is a very big game for both these teams. If the Steelers happen to win the AFC North, and it's looking like the Chiefs are probably going to win the AFC West for like the 100th year in a row. It feels like it, at least. This could determine who is going to be the higher seed of the wild card spot. And this is going to be an interesting game. It's too damn bad I got to work. I'm so upset about that. But I'm sure whoever does have a chance to watch this, this will be an entertaining one to say the least. You got Justin Herbert, the young QB, and obviously you have the defending MVP and Lamar Jackson. I got a feeling that the Ravens have a bit of a chip on their shoulder after losing in a heartbreak way last week to the Steelers. They're going to come out guns a-blazing because they know how critical this game is. If they lose this, then again, the Chargers are still going to be ahead of them in the standings. And if the Ravens happen to finish sixth or whatever it is, then they'd be taking on the third team in the AFC when it comes to the playoffs. And I'm sure if you're a Ravens fan, you want to get this win, and hopefully you can play catch up with the Steelers and possibly get into first place maybe by week 13 or week 14. But it definitely will not happen this week because even if the Ravens do happen to win and the Steelers lose, they'd still be a game behind Pittsburgh by the end of Monday night. So I'm going to give the edge to Lamar and the Ravens. I got a funny feeling they're going to pull this one out. Now, can the Chargers win? Of course they can win. Any team can win on any given Sunday. But like I said, just because they're bitter about their loss in Pittsburgh, and obviously 2 weeks prior to that, they lost in Cleveland. So a couple of tough losses where they could be sitting at 9-2 rather than 7-4. So I'm sure they got that in the back of their mind. So yeah, very critical game for both these teams, but I am going to give the Ravens the edge in this matchup. So there's 6 teams that have their bye week. There's only 13 games in total. The Falcons, after losing last week, they're 6-5, but they're still in first place in the NFC South. The Buffalo Bills are on their bye week. They're at 9-2. They're in first place in the AFC East. The Cincinnati Bengals have dropped to 4-7. I think they're in third place in their division and 3 games below 500 this late in the season. Again, not saying anything's impossible, but it's definitely going to be a tough road to hoe for the Bengals if they want to try and compete for a playoff spot. The Jaguars are 2-9. I'm not going to go on any more rants about the Jaguars. I feel like I've said enough about the Jaguars and a team that I'm going to also feature as well. That it's just been a miserable season, and I know changes are coming. It's a shame because 2 years ago they won, I'm pretty sure, the AFC South. They got the home wildcard win against the Chargers, and then obviously they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round. And then they had an amazing start to last year. Then they collapsed. The Texans obviously won the division. The Jaguars missed out on the playoffs. And this year they got off to a terrible start. So it's just been inconsistent, especially the last season and a half, you could really say. And it's a shame because they have a lot of talent. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, but they're just not gelling for whatever reason. The Saints, they have their bye week. I believe they're third in that division, if I'm not mistaken, 4-7. And the Jets, what else is there really that needs to be said about the Jets? They have dropped to 3-8. And I've said this 3 or 4 weeks ago that they're not making the playoffs, and I'll stick to my guns. There's no way that they're pulling off 6 straight wins. I mean, they even after adding Devontae Adams, they still only have 1 win in 4 games. It's a disgrace if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I'm not going to go on my usual rant. I've said so much about the Jets over the past couple of months that I'm just done getting worked up and yelling. You think I was like a passionate Jets fan by how like angry I am about how terrible their decisions have been. Now the good news is they have fired their general manager, so maybe, who knows, maybe in the offseason Aaron Rodgers will promote himself to GM and head coach and just run the Tide and be the quarterback at the same time. He can be a triple threat, right? Alrighty, that's going to take care of my preview for week number 12 of the National Football League season. So heading into week number 12, with my predictions, I have 113 correct and 53 incorrect. So I think I'm 60 games above 500. I'll take that. I had an amazing week 11. I went 12-2, the best I've ever had. I would love to go 14-0 or 15-0, depending on how many games there are. But that is definitely a stretch, to say the least. But yeah, I'll give myself a pat on the back for my 12-2 week 11 predictions. The 2 games that screwed me last week were the 49ers and the Ravens. And I think the 49ers lost by 3 points and the Ravens lost by 2. So 5 points is all that separated me from having a perfect prediction when it came to my weekly predictions, I should say. All right, that's going to take care of my recap, or my preview, as I just previously said. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, and as always, take care.